Welcome to this high-level discussion of WMS version 4.9. We will take you through a very quick presentation of the new features and functions available in this new version of our software. The workflow that you see in front of you is also now our website. We have basically changed the main page of our website to introduce the concept of true integration and workflow processes within a production home building business. Let's just take a brief moment and talk about some of these other capabilities. You'll notice that we have BIM technology and cloud-based estimating. This is one of three different ways that you can now perform estimates into the WMS application as well as integrate with Sales Simplicity. The BIM technology, or Building Information Modeling technology, is a co-development partnership with Instinct. Instinct is a collaboration of ITW and their VisionRes CAD software. That's a 3D CAD plugin that sits on top of AutoCAD. CG Visions, the developer of Pipeline and one of the foremost BIM consultants in North America. Sales Simplicity, our sales partner, and BuilderMT. We also have continued to promote the Sage estimating software as well as digital 2D takeoff with PlanSwift. We've introduced in 4.9 a WMS purchasing capability to do assembly takeoff within the purchasing application, which we will also be discussing today. Within the 4.9 application, we've also introduced multi-unit or multi-job scheduling and the superintendent portal. So without further ado, let's kind of talk a little bit about some of the enhancements and new features that are found in 4.9. We talked a little bit about the concept of integrating 3D CAD and BIM. We've talked about improved sales integration with Sales Simplicity in introducing rooms and attributes, as well as we're going to be introducing more involved with web services, improved integration that has now been pushed out to the third and fourth quarter of 2012. We've improved Trade Portal, mobile scheduling, VPO, and the bid management, as well as added over 90 client enhancements and 80 bug fixes in version 4.9. We've also introduced multi-unit scheduling and assembly takeoff and purchasing, as well as Model Options Manager and the Superintendent Portal, which we will be introducing today. This is a job start workflow that really is enabled by the Instinct process, where you will be able to design in VisionRes or 3D CAD, have that information go into the Pipeline product, request that sales configuration from Sales Simplicity, and perform a job start with the actual 3D drawing attached. So there is a lot more benefits in value engineering your drawings using 3D CAD and building information modeling tools. This is an example of a 3D CAD model where when you design, you're also building the model, and when you draw a line like an interior wall, that is taking off the studs, the electrical boxes every 10 feet, for example, drywall on each side, and so on and so forth. This is what you can also end up with, is drawings that can be then generated into JPEGs or PDFs and sent out to the job site and now being viewed by the Superintendent Portal on an iPad or a browser-based device. We will now go into the WMS software and we'll focus on four major areas that are in the 4.9 release. The first one is what is called models. And in Models and Options Manager, you have the ability to go into the system and to be able to set up who your database owner is. For all of our existence, the database owner has always been Sage Estimating. But with 4.9, in introducing the concept of 3D CAD and BIM, we also now, they could be the database owner. So if you design in 3D CAD or BIM, you can build your database in that application. You will also be able to now start maintaining your database in what's called Models and Options Manager, a new product that we've developed here at BuilderMT. This product will be rounded out in the remainder of 2012 to allow you not only to maintain your database but also to build your database from scratch, and therefore it could be your database owner. No matter which option you do select, we will update the estimating database in Sage Estimating, as we will continue to focus on the capabilities of Sage Estimating for those builders who want to continue to use the Sage Estimating application. So if we click on Models, there are basically brings in the entire database that you currently have set up in your Sage Estimating software with all of the assemblies as well as all of the items within each assembly. So let's focus on the capabilities of this Models and Options Manager tool. So by going up here and selecting items for update, so within the Select Items for Update screen, we have the ability to go in here by group phase or by assembly and bring up our detailed items. Let's say that we want to add some OSB and some studs of various lengths to some additional material items within the base plan. The first thing you'll notice is that the system will come back in through Models and Options Manager and find where one or more of these items exist in the database, so that it allows you to very quickly see those items if you're looking for those. The second thing that we're going to do is we are going to go over here to the right hand side and perform an action. That action could be adding items, it could be updating items. An update, for example, is where I want to increase, decrease, multiply, divide, or replace items that already exist in my assembly or in my plan, elevation, and option database. Or also we have the ability to delete and replace. For today's presentation, let's go in and add some items. So I'm just going to very quickly go in here and fill down, and I'm just going to add 5 items to each one of these areas. So 5 studs of random length there, and also the 5 sheets of OSB. And I want to basically put those into the base house of the Asbury model and also the base house of the Brighton model. And so at this point, all I have to do is go in here and say perform updates. It basically takes care of that, maintaining my database. So if I go right back into select items for update, I go into my assembly selection, I can see underneath the Asbury base house that we have our 5 sheets of OSB, 5 studs, 5 studs. Now let's say, for example, we also wanted to delete those items because we realized that we added more items to the sundown model than we had planned on it. So if I go down here, let's say I want to delete the sheets of OSB and these studs. So I can simply go up in here. Don't forget, you have to uncheck the models that you just set them up in. If not, they will be deleted there as well. But with audit trail and all that, it's pretty safe to go back in and set them back up. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete and execute that, and it goes ahead and deletes those items. The last feature I wanted to show you in Assembly Item Manager is the ability to replace an item. So for example, going back to your group phase activity screen, and let's say that we have appliances that are now being switched out by the manufacturer. For example, let's say GE in their Profile Edition comes out and says, well, we no longer offer this white dishwasher, this model number. We're replacing it with this model number, or a black dishwasher, or you want to get rid of all the white dishwashers and go with stainless steel. But the idea is that you want to replace an existing item in the database very quickly. You still need to set up the item in the Sage Estimating software at this point in time until we come out with the second version release of Models and Options Manager. But once the item is set up, this is how easy it is to replace. So I select the GE white dishwasher. It finds that it occurs in the Brighton house and also the Sundown house. And I want to go in here and say replace, come over to replace item, select the item to replace, and then come down here to select, let's say, the black dishwasher in this example, and go ahead and run that replacement. So when I come back into the assembly function or screen in this case, and I go down to the Sundown base house, I can go down here and you'll see that under appliances now I have a GE black dishwasher. Okay, and that concludes the Assembly Item Manager, and now we'll move over to the assembly takeoff function within WMS purchasing. I'm now over into the purchasing side of WMS, and I've gone ahead and I'm in the issue budget screen. You will notice in version 4.9 now we have Sage Estimate, so you can bring in a Sage Estimate and then from that generate your job start, your budgets and purchase orders. You also can bring in the information from Sales Simplicity through accepting your sales contracts, but we've also added a new feature within WMS purchasing, and that is Add Estimate. When I go into Add Estimate, you'll notice here are my basic options and my basic plans and elevations or assemblies. If I wanted to go ahead and add an Asbury base house, maybe it's a spec house, or I want to do this manually, I can do it through this process. Everything that I'm showing you though is typically done in Sales Simplicity. If you're using the Sales Simplicity software and you're integrating it with WMS, everything that you see here is basically going to happen over on the Sales Simplicity side. But this is now a feature that we built into WMS to allow you to do this more manually in our purchasing solution. The first thing that I wanted to point out is that the concept of rooms, and we're going to be expanding on the concept of rooms even more so when we release our version 2 of Models and Options Manager, where you will be able to define your rooms, you will be able to define the square footage of those rooms, you will also be able to define the flooring selections as an attribute, paint selections, cabinet selections, things of that nature, and then be able to set up those as options or drill downs. So for example, in my entry hall I want hardwood, and in my great room I might want carpeting, and so on and so forth. And my grade of hardwood that I want to use is a grade 3, and the grade of carpeting that I would like to use is maybe a grade 2. And this will allow you to define these selection processes and these drill downs yourself, so that if you said, well, I want to know that the grade of carpeting in the great room is a grade 2, but the grade of carpeting in my basement or my rec room or something is maybe a grade 1. So you'll have that capability to do so. When you go in and make your selections and we hit OK, we also have the ability to go in and make selections at takeoff. So I'm going to select an item at takeoff and it wants to know about a microwave. I'm going to select the black microwave, and by doing so it's now made that selection, and then it starts building my estimate. So from this I can go right back into my assembly takeoff function, go right back into my base house assemblies, and I can add a deck, or I can also add a service door, or whatever else I would like, and very easily do it this way. When you're in that particular deck, maybe you want to customize the deck, so I need to add some items. So if I highlight this and add items, and I go down to my detailed database, in my detailed items, go down to all of my deck items down here, you will then be able to go in and just put in some various different items. And for today's presentation I'm just going to add items randomly. And so I'll say 4 of these, 5 of these, 6 of these, 7 of these. And once I'm done with that, okay, now it adds additional deck material to that particular job. So you can kind of build an estimate on the fly using this new feature, assembly and item takeoff, within the BuilderMT purchasing software. The next item that I want to focus in on is what is called multi-unit scheduling or multi-job scheduling, where we're linking jobs from one to another. And in this has been basically part of our advisory group, which has actually been very important to us because this is where all of our enhancements are coming from our advisory group, and everything that you're seeing in the 4.9 release is coming from our builder clients. So in this case, real quick on the overview of multi-unit scheduling is you set up a master schedule dashboard. And so for example, I have my BuilderMT projects. And in my BuilderMT projects, I have this concept of what are called work areas and then phases within work areas. You can have as many work areas as you want, and you can have as many phases within a work area as you want. Basically, the idea is to put in the schedules within those phases and then link those schedules together for reporting purposes and also for scheduling purposes. You can then override the description to build in whatever you desire. In this case, this is my Antelope Hill project, phase 1 and phase 2, and here are my schedules. it's very easy for me just to grab, drag, and drop a schedule and drop it right on here, and then it will add a new schedule to that particular project very quickly. You'll notice down here that we started at the master schedule dashboard, and now we're at the master schedule designer. The next tab is the master schedule resource allocation. Many of you that have been using our scheduling system for years are familiar with our resource allocation functionality within scheduling. Well, we're improving that by going in here and, once I save it, going in here and being able to drill down and look at the jobs associated with each one of our suppliers and their schedule start and actual start and end dates and things of that nature. So we're going to be doing more and more in multi-unit scheduling to handle the concept of scheduling resources across all these projects. And multi-unit scheduling is an enhancement to those of you who have scheduling, as is the assembly item manager or assembly takeoff, excuse me, in the WMS purchasing application. So the next item that I want to focus in on is the master schedule worksheet. The first thing I want to point out is that every single field that is available in scheduling is available for you to view and also use this as a data entry grid, including all of your user definable fields. So in this case, I've kind of made my grid pretty straightforward by area description, by job description, field supervisor, supplier, so on and so forth. And then you can move these things around. So if you said, well, I want field supervisor over here, you can move them around. If you want to sort by supplier, you can just click on supplier and it will sort that automatically. You also have the ability to custom design your sort. So I can go in here and say I want to sort by job. So I just grab job, drag it up here, and now everything is sorted by job. And you can have multiple level sorts. So you can say job by supplier. And so now it's job by supplier. And then you have a series of standard layouts that come with the software, as well as you can design your own layout, such as maybe schedule start date. I want to look at everything based upon a schedule start date and then sort it by area or job name. The other feature that you have in the software is the ability to enter in data. So if I go over here to maybe an actual start date, I can actually plug in data into this grid. So this grid can be a views grid. It can also be a data entry grid. Next thing I wanted to point out is the concept of filters. You can build your own filters. Filters are pretty easy to build. So let's take a look at how a filter is constructed. So we have a filter here called drywall. And in here we have the ability to go into a column, and any column that you decide to select is available to you, as well as then you can go into the operation and then you can have Boolean logic, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, equals, contains, all of that. And in this case I'm going to go ahead and the trade name needs to contain drywall. So if I go ahead and execute that filter, you'll notice right away that the only suppliers that show up are drywall trades in this case, or drywall contractors. So filters are again another very powerful feature within multi-unit scheduling to be able to filter out these particular views or these items. We are going to be adding this type of functionality all throughout WMS in the remainder of 2012 that you're seeing here today as well. The last thing that I wanted to show you is the capability to export. So if I have a view on here that I want to export directly to Excel, I can go in here and export it to a worksheet and go ahead into that worksheet and then view that information. So we're doing more and more with exporting our data into Excel worksheets so that therefore you can go in and start generating views, graphs, charts from the data being presented in the WMS application. And the last feature that I wanted to show you that has come out with version 4.9 is our new Superintendent Portal. We're very excited about the Superintendent Portal. It is another product that was co-developed with our advisory group, and let me run you through some of the highlights of the Superintendent Portal. I'm using what's called an iPad simulator to kind of simulate what it might look like on an iPad for your superintendents out in the field. The first thing that you'll notice, for those of you familiar with our Trade Portal product, is it's very similar to the look and feel of Trade Portal. It has all of our tabs along the top, as well as in the body of the Superintendent Portal. It has the ability for us to keep track of job information, links to various different processes or websites, such as our variance purchase order process, which is also a web-based tool to interact with our WMS purchasing module. And then also it has jobs with open schedules. If jobs are behind schedule, they're in red. If jobs are on track, they're in green. The ability for us very quickly to go in here and be logged in as a specific superintendent, be able to go in here and look at our various different jobs, being able to view that job information, be able to view job documents for that particular project. Let's go here. I have another job right here that does have some documents. And for instance, if you remember earlier, we had that schematic of that framing layout that I wanted to go ahead and view. Here it is on the Superintendent Portal now. So capability of doing full document management out in the field to collaborate with your trade subs and suppliers out there in the field. The other thing about the Superintendent Portal are these tabs up here at the top. You have daily tasks. For instance, what do I have going on today that has not been completed as of today, or that is scheduled to either start or complete as of today? And again, you have the same capabilities as you've seen previously by dragging and dropping this information up here to do your custom sorts on whoever is logged in to that portal, in this case Jim Andrews. You can do schedules by supplier, where you have the ability to go in here and look at a specific supplier, such as, let's say, Bridgetown Building Materials. We'll go in here to some date ranges that make more sense, and then we can go in and see various different activities or jobs. By clicking on these links, it will take me right to that particular activity, or clicking on this link, it'll take me right to that job. Let's go into that particular job schedule. So now I'm at the Scheduled Job tab. I have the ability to again sort in any format I want. I also have the ability to see all the information that you would want on a complete view of that schedule. And again, baseline, start and finish, projected start and finish, so on and so forth. And as I scroll over to the right, it will denote any reminders, checklist, or notes by a little X. So for example, if I click on Foundation Pour, it will take me to that activity. By going into that activity, I can go into notes, I can go into reminders, or I can go into my checklists. If I click on the detail, I also have the ability to put in the variance codes and then go into my actual start and schedule dates and put in the start and finish dates right from the calendar view that's available during the activity data entry. You have full purchase order capability within the Superintendent Portal. So again, I can go in here and look at a purchase order inquiry. I have the capability, as I've said earlier, to go in here and view all the data based upon a date range. So I can go in here and view, for instance, all of the job records that fall within that date range, and then again click on that particular purchase order number, be able to view these documents, be able to approve purchase orders, email a PO to a supplier right off on screen, and so you have all of that features and functionality built right into the Superintendent Portal. So it's just like you're working on the desktop, but you're out there on a browser-based device. And it doesn't have to be an iPad. It can be, as I said just a moment ago, any browser-based device. You have the ability also to go ahead and approve payments, and you can turn on or off different functions based upon your WMS security, but I can mark a item as completed. I can do a part pay on a specific item. It depends on how much flexibility and capabilities you want to offer your superintendents out in the field to do these types of functions. Lastly, there's the payments, which is just like in the Trade Portal, where again I can see all of the different payments that a trade has going on with my home building company. As a superintendent, I can sit down with the trade. I can click on the purchase order number and view that. I can see job number information. All of that information is right here available to them to review with the trade sub or supplier. The documents are those legal type documents that you've set up in the trade portal by trade. So if there's any issues relating to a discussion between the superintendent out in the field and the trade about when they get paid or terms and conditions, those documents are also available on the superintendent portal. So in closing, I just wanted to make this last statement. If you have any more questions, or if you would like to set up a one-on-one presentation of the 4.9 release with your company, feel free to contact us at the number here, or email at us at info@buildermt.com, or also check out our website at buildermt.com, where you'll find our new workflow chart and the ability for you to click on any of the individual boxes to again view that information on screen. Thank you very much for your time today, and we look forward to working closely with you and implementing these new capabilities into your existing WMS applications. If you're not already a BuilderMT client, we look forward to educating you on the benefits of working with BuilderMT as your technology provider. Thank you again.